If you're feeling overwhelmed by the clutter in your life, that's mental clutter, digital clutter, physical clutter, I get it. It's stressful, but that mental chaos isn't just stressing you out, it's also stealing hours from your day, from your week. But what if I told you that decluttering doesn't have to be stressful? We can simplify the process. That's why I'm here with a spring cleaning episode of the Lead More podcast. Of course, I'm your host, John T. Meyer, and I am going through my own spring cleaning. And today I want to give you 7 tips. Think of these as like a daily tip, 7 days, 7 tips, 1 week of spring cleaning where you can clean out your life and feel lighter, feel calmer, and be more focused moving forward. Let's dive right in. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Lead More podcast. I'm your host, John T. Meyer, and if you are like me, you're just feeling a little bit unorganized, a little chaotic. You know, you start the year, January, you're pumped, you're motivated, you got your new goals, you got your focus, you're locked in, you're grinding for 6, maybe 7 weeks. You maybe hit sort of that late February kind of wall. You stall out a little bit. Things are going well, but you're losing some momentum. And then the weather starts changing. You know, in South Dakota, we literally had a day that was 70 degrees. And then that night, rain turned to snow. And we had like a late start at school because it was so cold. That was in the span of 24 hours. And so seasons are changing. But you want to get lighter in the spring, right? You want to purge, you want to declutter. And sometimes that chaos isn't just physical clutter. We got mental clutter, we got digital clutter now. Like the junk drawer looks just like my desktop, the junk desktop. And I'm just ready to purge it out, clean it up, and do less. So what I started doing was these daily tasks. I created a month's worth of tasks, 30 days, 30 little tasks, right? Simple action steps. My newsletter, the Point Letter, which I've been writing for over a decade, I used to just write about productivity in these short little to-the-point emails. And I decided to kind of bring that idea back of what would be 30 ideas to the point, specific tasks to declutter your life. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm calling a spring cleaning episode. And today I have 7 of my favorite ones to bring to you. You could probably do all these in one day, but I recommend try one a day for a week. 7 simple things to declutter your life. Let's dive right in. Number 1, declutter a drawer. I know that sounds crazy, but right, you have that junk drawer. We all have that junk drawer in our house. I'll embarrassingly show a picture of mine right here if you're watching the YouTube. So start small, pick one junk drawer and clean it out. Toss out what you can, organize whatever you need to save that's left. Hopefully it's half as much. 25%, 75% is cut out. You have 25% left. Just organize what's left there and declutter. Pull the stuff out, donate, toss, whatever it might be. My action step, I have an action step for every one of these. My action step here is if you wouldn't go out and buy it today, get rid of it, right? There's all those things we save in the junk drawer. Like, what if that one time I need that thing? What if this crazy circumstance happens and I need this very specific type of tiny little screwdriver? Well, guess what? You probably don't. And if you do, you probably won't be able to find it. And so then you'll end up going to buy one anyway. So if you wouldn't go buy it, don't keep it. That's my action step. So number 1, get a quick win and clean out a junk drawer. Number 2, unsubscribe from emails. Oh man, this is the worst. We all have so many emails. I mean, yeah, Google will put them in the other file, but if you're like me, be honest. How much time do you spend in the morning unsubscribing emails? If someone could put a camera like into my bathroom, which would be weird and creepy, but as I'm brushing my teeth, you can literally just watch my finger right swipe, right swipe, right swipe, right swipe, just deleting emails that at some point I subscribed to, at some point I thought would be important, and I don't need them. Delete once. I know it takes a couple more seconds to just the right swipe, and then you don't need to do the right swipe every day. So unsubscribe, go through your inbox, unsubscribe from promotions, newsletters that aren't serving you anymore, and create space for the emails that matter so you don't have to do this daily routine. I think one of the things that's hard here is unsubscribing from an email or creator that you really enjoyed at some point, because there's this feeling of like abandoning or leaving them behind, or that you're not grateful for the content that they gave you. But here's what I've learned. It's just like reading a book. It's just like a coach or a course or a mentor. There are seasons to life for this type of stuff. And so like, yes, I used to read Gary Vee's emails religiously and consumed all of his content. Yeah, I still follow him on social media, but his newsletter isn't really serving me today at this point in my life, at this point in my career. I can unsubscribe. And that doesn't mean I'm not grateful for all the lessons Gary has and will continue to teach me. So it's okay if you move beyond or outgrow or no longer need a certain newsletter, you can unsubscribe. My action step on number 2 here is try unroll.me. That's UNROLL.me. It's free to start. It'll show you all the emails that you are currently subscribed to. You can unsubscribe. Bonus action here. Maybe not everybody, I didn't give this one as one of the 7 because maybe not everyone's as crazy as me. But other thing, not just unsubscribe from emails, potentially unsubscribe/delete email addresses. If you're like me, I have a graveyard of past projects and companies that have failed, domains. And once you get the domain, then you set up the email. So John at insert company name that no longer exists. Not only do those sort of house emails that I have to delete, but guess what? They also cost money. If you're using Google Workspace or whatever they call that, now that started as like $6, so it seemed pretty harmless. I think now it's $12 or $15 a month. And I have some emails that I literally don't check from businesses that literally don't exist that I'm still paying $12, $15 a month. So I'm getting rid of those too. That's a bonus step for me if you collect email addresses. Number 3, say no to one thing. And what I mean specifically is probably going to your calendar. So identify one request, an obligation, a commitment that currently doesn't align with your priorities and your goals, and go say no to it. Create some space, buy less commitments. It's not just the hour-long monthly or quarterly meeting. It's also the mental weight of, if you don't care about those things, you're probably either missing the meeting, which then means you need to follow up on to-dos, or you're even just feeling the weight of guilt for like volunteering on that committee, which you don't show up for because you don't really care about it or you're not passionate about it. And then you have this mental, emotional guilt for not following through. And then you also have like the reputational risk of like being a person who doesn't follow through, right? You don't want that either. So my action step here is audit your calendar. Go back the last 30 days, go back through the month of February or March, find like a reoccurring meeting, a nonprofit committee, something that just doesn't align with your goals and values anymore that you can say no to. And honestly, I've served on lots of boards, and I also have my own board with Leadership South Dakota. You want people to feel comfortable saying no because you don't want those people on your boards and your committees anyway, right? You want people who want to show up, who will be proactive, who will participate. And there's likely a chance that if they're feeling that way, you're feeling that way. And just by emailing them and opening up the conversation to say, you know what, I just don't think I can commit to this anymore, they're probably going to say, that's great. I completely understand. Thank you for your time. We wish you the best of luck. And so the action step here is to audit your calendar. I used like a nonprofit example, but the other thing you could try in the business professional context, do you have a recurring meeting? Your biweekly content meeting or your once a month creative ideation call or whatever that you've done, because guess what? We've always done it. And you realize like that meeting, pretty worthless. You miss half of them when you do show up. It lacks focus and preparation, purpose. Maybe you can find something to say no to that's just on your calendar because we always used to do it. So the action step, audit your calendar, find that meeting, delete the meeting, decline the meeting, say no to the commitment, and just say no to one thing. You'll feel good about it. Number 4, plan tomorrow, tonight, right? Awesome opportunity here to win the day tomorrow by planning it tonight. So take 10 minutes at the end of the day, and I encourage you to write down the 3 things you need to get done tomorrow. There's a really good story here that I got to tell. When I wrote more about productivity, spoke about it, I always used to share this story. Charles Schwab, not the financial company, but Charles Schwab, the actual person, ran a company called Bethlehem Steel. It was one of those pioneer in the industrial age, one of those big, massive steel companies in America. So Charles Schwab was like this amazingly productive CEO and businessman. He got a lot done. He was famous for his output. Edison said he was one of the most productive people he knew. And Charles Schwab ran this company, and he really, because he cared and valued productivity, he wanted both himself and his team to be as productive as possible. So he hired this guy named Ivy Lee, and Lee was sort of this PR publicist, but also kind of a thought leader in productivity, efficiency. I think I would call him kind of like a modern day, like author, creator, content person, but back then. And so Schwab hires Ivy Lee, and Ivy Lee, this is provocative, says, I won't charge you anything. I'm just going to come in and do this, and I can double the output of your factory. And after I do that, you can pay me what you think it's worth. Legend says. And so Schwab's like, well, that's a pretty good deal. Like, yeah, come in for free, work with my team, and I'll pay based on results. And so Lee comes in, he meets with all the factory employees, the managers, the workers, and he gives this one piece of advice. He says, here's what I want you to do at the end of the day. Write the 3 things you need to get done tomorrow. That's it. That's the plan. That's the hack. That's the fancy system, is a sticky pad, a sticky note. Do they have sticky notes back then? I don't know. Sheet of paper, probably not. But the 3 things you need to get done tomorrow. And when you come to work tomorrow, just focus on those 3 things. Before anything else, get those 3 things done. If you don't, for some reason, because 2 or 1 of them take all your day, and you still feel like those are the 3 most important things, roll them over to the next day and then focus on those 3 things the next day. That's it. That's planning your day tomorrow, today. And so the story goes, Schwab's factory doubled their output. Everyone was very productive. Everyone was very focused, a lot of clarity. I think Schwab paid Lee $25,000, as the story goes, which of course today is hundreds of thousands of dollars, to come in and give that one piece of advice, which you could read in a paragraph. So legendary tale, but it's great advice, which is simply plan tomorrow, today. Don't go to bed without knowing the 3 things that matter most. You can look at your calendar by doing that. You can do a sticky note. And I would give you permission to make those things also personal, right? If getting a workout in, or going on a date with your spouse, or helping your son or daughter with their homework is one of those things. I used to do this thing called 8 for the day. I had a notebook, and the idea was if I can't get 8 things done in an 8-hour day, it was 6 professional, 2 personal. So it could be, a workout, a date with my wife, then I wasn't focusing on the right things. I've kind of drifted from that habit, but I love this idea of plan tomorrow, tonight. Action step there is just write down your 3 priorities. Try this for a week, see what happens. All right, number 5, eat the same breakfast for a week. That's it. As simple as this. Choose a healthy breakfast. Think about your goals. If you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, add more muscle, whatever it is, if you need more protein, if you need less carbs, vegetables, whatever it is, choose your ideal breakfast, something you ideally like that you don't have to choke down and don't like eating and hate to create and takes a ton of time, but a simple, easy, healthy breakfast. Choose that and eat it every day for a week. What we're trying to do here is reduce decision fatigue. We're trying to save time. There's maybe even a way to meal prep some of these breakfasts on a Sunday, cook this thing, prepare this, and eat it every day for a week. Oatmeal, some sort of egg dish, whatever it might be. Try it. Mine is like today, I got up, I made a piece of toast with 2 eggs scrambled, made it for myself, made it for Paige, delivered it to her. Bonus points, right? Husband. I just feel better, right? I ate more, and everything I do for the rest of the day, I make better choices, right? When we miss it, sometimes I drop the girls off, run to a meeting. I've only had coffee, a couple cups of coffee. Then I get to lunch, have only had coffee. Sometimes I skip lunch, tired, malnourished, you make bad choices. And then that night you eat a crappy, big unhealthy meal or something like that. So you're reducing decision fatigue. You're making healthier choices. You're setting up your day. We all know how important breakfast is. It's the most important meal of the day. So eat the same breakfast every day for a week. I know that you're going to say like, it's boring. I like diversifying things, like trying new flavors. Just try it for a week and see what happens. Think of food as fuel and this is hard for me. I love to eat. But think of food as fuel. Choose a simple, easy breakfast. Eat it every day. Action step here is grocery plan for 7 days. So how could you batch produce if you're going to the grocery store on the weekend, whenever you like to go, think about whatever you eat for breakfast times 7. Do it for a week. All right, number 6. Identify your energy drainers, right? What we're trying to do here is write down an activity and or people that drain your energy. What we're trying to do is limit our exposure to these people or these things or these places. Action step here is an exercise I call the energy audit. Simple, you take a sheet of paper and a pen, draw a line down the center of the piece of paper. On one side, you write plus, and the other side, you write minus. So on the plus, write all the things that you do that give you energy, that fuel you. You might physically be tired, but you finish them so pumped up and excited, you can't wait to do more of it. That's your plus. We want to do more of those. On the other side, the minus, that's the things that drain your energy. So for me in business, that used to be like bookkeeping, doing my taxes, accounting work. You can see a trend there. I outsource that stuff. I'm happy to pay for it because not only am I bad at it and I do it incorrectly, but it just drains my energy, right? I don't feel great doing it. So get rid of those things. The action step here is once you do the energy audit, then I do a thing called DAD. I do DAD to my list, DAD. So look at the pluses, do more of those, but look at those minuses and either delegate, automate, or delete. Delegate, automate, delete, DAD. By delegating, maybe there is a person, if you have a team, a virtual assistant, somebody you can delegate those tasks to. Automate between AI, between software, between Zapier to connect one tool to the next. If you do something often and frequently, can you automate it to get rid of it? And then delete is the simple, we talked about earlier, saying no to one thing. Just stop doing it. Delete the thing, delete the process, delete the meeting. You can't delete the person, but you can delete them from your life or your phone if that's something you need to do. So DAD that list, get rid of it, and get the energy drainers out of your life. And lastly, number 7, practice the 1 in, 1 out rule. And what that means, this is great for physical things especially. So what that means is for every new item that you bring into your life, donate or delete or discard an old item. 1 in, 1 out. So I think this works great for clothing. You decide, I need a new pair of jeans. It's time. I've worn this pair of jeans. I like to buy 2 pairs of jeans. I just wear the crap out of them. But then I start realizing it's time to get some new jeans. But before I do that, I try to get rid of a pair of pants, of jeans, at least one other item. So 1 in, 1 out. My closet stays relatively the same quantity of items. And you feel good. You feel good about getting rid of space or creating space. You feel good about donating. If it's still good quality, you can give it to somebody else. But just practice the 1 in, 1 out rule so that the next time you're like, we need to buy a new chair. We need to buy a hat, a piece of clothing, a new pot or pan for our kitchen. Is there something in your kitchen that you can get rid of? 1 in, 1 out. So practice this rule is the action step. The next time you want to acquire something, find out what you can get rid of. And I would encourage you first, identify your outs. So by identifying the things you can get rid of, that almost gives you permission to go get new things versus thinking through all the new stuff that you need and then trying to go find something to get rid of. All right, that is our spring cleaning episode of the Lead More podcast. 7 little things with action steps you can do probably all in one day, or I recommend 1 per day for 7 days to get rid of these things and create more space in your life, less clutter, more peace. And so I'm calling this Less Month. I'm calling this idea, I've written 30 of these tips, short little emails for 30 days. I know I told you to unsubscribe from emails, but I think this one will be one worth subscribing to get rid of other stuff. So just go to leadmore.kit.com/less to sign up for the 30-day journey. And for 30 days, I'll give you a short little email with an action step. So whenever you sign up, it doesn't have to be the first of the month, just sign up. You'll get 30 days in a row of less emails, meaning tips to do less month. Let's do some spring cleaning in our lives. That's physical, that's mental, and that's digital. So that by doing less, we can do more. By slowing down, we can speed up. That's this episode of the Lead More podcast. Of course, you can subscribe to the Lead More podcast wherever you listen. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify. And if you like this episode, give us a like. You can like the podcast. You can give us 5 stars. And if you're watching the video show on YouTube, leave a comment below. I'm curious, of these 7 things, which one stood out to you most? Which one are you going to do first in your less week? And then after you do a less week, you can move on to less month at johntmeyer.com/less. As always, friends, take care and be well.